all you do is you prepare as thoroughly as you can. The guys play their asses off.
Playoffs? Talk about playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. Another game.
Listen, we're talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We're talking about practice.
That you probably won't say it again.
I bet I do.
Okay.
Correct?
If you want to crown them, you crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Gather around, Skull brothers and sisters. This is Skull Ranch, brought to you by Minnesota Sports Talk. I'm your host, Dave. You can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at Skull World. Also, make sure in the comments, you tell me what you think about JJ McCarthy, the pick, everything about it. Tell me how you feel. I want to know. And if you do that and you're subscribed to my channel, you'll be entered to win Justin Jefferson autograph jersey. I'm going to give away my 2750 giveaway, hitting 2750 subscribers at 3,000. We'll give a Justin Jefferson autograph jersey to the lucky winner. You just have to comment and be subscribed to this video and future videos until we get to 3,000. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, months ago, I on Twitter said, can someone point to a game JJ McCarthy took it over? Tell me why you think we should go up and get him top 5, because there's a big stink about how JJ McCarthy's top 5, top 10, whatever. I was like, give me something. And I like to acquire knowledge. I like to go seek the truth. And nobody replied. Crickets. Nobody replied. I was putting out polls saying, would you take JJ McCarthy? It was like 50% didn't even want to draft him at all. Like, they would not be happy if he was on the team. Now I put it out, there's like 97% say they're happy to have him. But liars, all of you, liars. No. But back then, I was like still seeking knowledge. So I go and get Thor Nystrom on my video. One of my most successful videos of all time. Thor Nystrom lays out the whole, sales pitch for JJ McCarthy. And then he stayed on an hour and talked about all the other quarterbacks too. He liked other quarterbacks, but he wanted JJ McCarthy. And the valid point of JJ McCarthy being a top quarterback was, even though there wasn't a lot of volume, and that's where volume stats come into play. Yeah, you're just volume stat guy. No, I mean, you're productive. That means you're productive. But there wasn't a lot of volume to his throws. And the points made recently, which makes sense, is he didn't have to play fourth quarters or middle of the third even. They weren't throwing the ball. So he and some guys said, and I believe it, that he basically missed out on 2 games of production. And he still almost got 3,000 yards. Where he did, he threw 3 picks against Bowling Green, I think, but won the rest of the season. So a lot of good things about him. Now, what I went and did, I wanted to be going at it negative. I didn't want to be an open mind. I want to say, prove it to me. JJ McCarthy is the right guy. Prove it to me. I don't believe it. People saying, all he does is win. Oh, great, in high school. I mean, you went to IMG Academy. Like, everybody's a pro. Almost everybody, there's like a bunch of players that will actually be NFL players that he went to high school with. And then I'm like, Michigan, loaded. Like, I don't know. It's like they were shooting for the record for the most NFL players coming out of this class. So I'm like, winner, great. I was expecting, okay, all these players around him balled out, made him look good, all that. He got put up because of that. what I found out was the opposite. And we're going to talk about that. And I'll make comments. I'll make comments about that. I'm going to read his Wikipedia page and I'm going to read his NFL profile. And I'm going to tell you what I've seen from that. And through the process of deciding that's who I wanted. Now, if you are familiar with anything I put out, you'll find out that I warmed up to Drake May. What I didn't warm up to was the draft compensation it took to take Drake May, and how I was more happy taking JJ McCarthy, and was willing to give up both first round picks this year to get him. But when I mock draft him, the final mock draft, I had us trading up to 8, giving up next year's 3rd and this year's 4th, even 108, to get JJ McCarthy. Well, they took Penix. Then the Bears didn't trade. And then he's sitting there at 10, and we move up 1 spot, trade a 5th and a 4th, and we get him. So I was ecstatic, and we kept our 23rd. So I feel great. Shout out to GG Sports Podcast. Those guys were in the mock draft with me. We took JJ McCarthy and kept our 23rd. We didn't get Dallas Turner, but we got Newton, which was a big need for us. He ended up going in the 2nd round. But Dallas Turner, holy crap, that'll be another video. But the fact that we got JJ McCarthy and Dallas Turner made me even more love JJ McCarthy. Now, I recently said B+ on picking JJ McCarthy, but I'm moving that back up to an A. My initial thoughts was A. Because of value, because now I went back and looked at him even more, I'm like A, definitely A. And we'll go into it. Let me bring up. All right. So let's go to the Wikipedia page. So early life, McCarthy, born January 22, 2003. He attended Nazareth Academy for high school until transferring to IMG Academy in Bradenton. If you're not familiar with IMG Academy, it is basically a school to develop athletes to become professionals almost. And I first became aware of it back in the late 90s when they were putting out tennis, like famous tennis players, like really famous tennis players and golfers. And it was, and then when I moved back to Florida, I found out there were football teams and basketball teams, and they were loaded. So, and this is why I thought maybe he's just seeking going to the best school to get the best, recruitment. But it was a story behind it. As a senior in 2020, after COVID-19 pandemic led to the cancellation of Nazareth football season, he went to the free state of Florida so he can't. That's why he came to IMG Academy. In 2 seasons as a starting quarterback in Nazareth, he led the team to a 26-2 record with consecutive appearances in the IHSA Class 7A state championship game, winning the state title as a sophomore in 2018. In his lone season at IMG, he led the team to an 8-0 record and a consensus high school football national championship. So he played 8 games. I know usually he'd play more than that, but it was a COVID year and everybody's freaking out. And they gave him the national championship. And there's a good reason why, because they were freaking good. But again, I leaned on it. I'll finish this part of it. McCarthy was 5-star recruit, 247 Sports composite rankings, which aggregates the ratings of the major recruiting services. At age 16, McCarthy said Ryan Day lied to his face by telling him in March that Ohio State would not take a quarterback in the 2021 recruiting class until the end of the summer, but then accepted a commitment from Kyle McCord in April. Despite growing up as an Ohio State fan, McCarthy committed to rival Michigan the next month. And this is where you're going to love more of JJ McCarthy. He is speaking about his hatred for Ohio State. He said, "I used to love them, now I want to kill them." So, I know a lot of you are not big, many people are not big fans of Kirk Cousins and the political correctness that will come along with them. You will probably love JJ McCarthy. He speaks from his sleeve. He has and I agree, an it factor about him. And the fact that he literally said he'd want to kill his former favorite team for lying to him is an endearing quality, honestly. McCarthy played hockey growing up and said that he actually his first love in football. Around his freshman year of high school, he made the decision to give up hockey in order to focus on football. McCarthy called it one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make. In 8th grade, he received a scholarship offer to play football at Ohio State for head coach Matt Campbell. So, one of the things there is now he's in Minnesota. He's talking up. Can't wait to get on the pond. He's loving the state of hockey in Minnesota. I unfortunately grew up in South Dakota, where we didn't have hockey. That would have been fun at the time. Now we do. But yeah, it would have been fun to have a hockey team growing up. College career. In 2019, McCarthy committed to play college football at the University of Michigan. On September 4th, 2021, he made his debut against Western Michigan, completing 4 of 6 passes for 80 yards, including his first collegiate touchdown pass, a 69-yard reception by Dalen Baldwin. He appeared in 11 games during the 2021 season, primarily as the backup quarterback to Cade McNamara, completing 34 of 59 passes for 516 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He also rushed for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. 2022 season. Prior to the 2022 season, McCarthy competed with Cade McNamara for the role of Michigan starting quarterback. Before the opening game, Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh announced that the competition was closed and would continue at least for the first 2 games, with McNamara starting in the first week, Colorado State, and McCarthy starting in the second week against Hawaii. I remember this. And I don't watch a lot of college football, but it was kind of crazy. He had an open competition where one guy would start one game, one guy would start another. That's a lot of confidence in your team. McCarthy started and played most of the first half against Hawaii, completing 11 of 12 passes for 229 yards. That's probably one of his best games, and 3 touchdowns while leading the Wolverines 42-0 halftime lead. In the post-game press conference, Harbaugh announced that McCarthy would start against UConn in week 3 and added he's the starter moving forward on merit. Wow. That's great. That's great for Harbaugh. That's impressive. That's impressive. McCarthy continued as Michigan's starting quarterback, completing 15-18 passing against UConn, 214 yards, 18-26 passing against Maryland for 220 yards, 18-24 passing against Iowa for 155 against Indiana. October 8th, he completed 28-36 passes for 340 yards. 304 yards. He can do it, folks. 2 touchdowns and 1 interception on a ball tipped up in the air in the red zone. McCarthy helped lead the Wolverines to an undefeated matchup with Ohio State on November 26th, passing for 263 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. Recorded as a rushing touchdown to a 45-23 victory. Wow. Great. That's amazing. In the Fiesta Bowl, he completed 20 of 34 passes for a career high 343 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, both returned for touchdowns. 2 interceptions, both returned for touchdowns. Not the greatest, but 51-45 loss to TCU in the college football playoff semifinals. For the 2022 season, he completed 208 for 322 passes, 2,719 yards, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 155 quarterback rating. So, 2023 season, let's pick some things out here. Record 15-0, 240, 332 attempts, 72.3. That's a jump up of, 8 points, 2,991 yards. He actually thrown a lot less. If you do the math here, that's 2 less games. So he only jumped up 280 yards in 2 extra games. Average 9 yards per attempt, 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Great, just accurate Doesn't turn over the ball. Rating 167.4. That's the college one. Rushing 64 for 202 yards. And if you know sacks count against you in college, average 3.2 yards. He is athletic. He can run. Runs a 4.640. His pre-draft measurables. These are great. And one of the things I tell people of JJ McCarthy is that he has a superpower of scrambling. I do not escape the irony of the fact that we had a scrambling quarterback, Brandon Tarkington, who was number 10, and JJ McCarthy drafted number 10 and is a scrambling quarterback, because you may not think he is, but he is a superpower. And this is where I'll show you. He's 6'2.5", weight 219. He's not 219, I don't think, but hopefully he is. I think someone talked about that was water weight, but that 219 would be great. 31 5/8 inch, 9-inch hands, not the greatest there. That's smaller than that's smaller than Dante Culpepper. We had complaints about him. 20-yard shuttle, 4.23. The 3-cone drill, anything below 7 is pretty impressive. He's 6.82 seconds. That's where I believe is one of the better scramblers in the draft, and hopefully as close to the 6th sense of Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes was the last quarterback taken 10 overall. I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying potential scrambling ability is there. Now, obviously, here we go. Here's some highlights. McCarthy finished his career at Michigan at 27-1 record, 964 as a starting quarterback, the third best winning percentage by a quarterback in college football history, and the best by any college quarterback since 1971. Now in the championship, it wasn't the greatest for either quarterback, Penix or him. 10 of 18 passes for 140 yards, 34-13 win, leading Michigan to undefeated 15-0 record and first national championship since 1997. So I'm not going to go into, we lived this year. We paid attention to his championship, so I'm not going to go into too much details. Let me bring up his here we go. His draft profile. Production value here. So let me go back to this level. So here's what my thoughts on Sam Darnold looking over his shoulder, like my thumbnail says. Sam Darnold, I went back and looked at him. Everybody knows I'm not the biggest fan. Great kid. I think one of his coaches says if he had a daughter, he would want him to marry Sam Darnold. So great kid. Now, I was a little perplexed that even though you're going to be competing against him, it would have showed something if you would have reached out to him after he got drafted. But the next day, McCarthy was asked, and he said none of the quarterbacks actually reached out to him. So that didn't look good. Sorry about the cough, and I don't know if I got COVID again or what. But so let me compare my thoughts of Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy. So I went into JJ McCarthy trying to be negative, absolutely trying to be negative. And what I came away with was anything but. So I went back and looked at IMG Academy, because I'm like, all right, he went to IMG. Then I realized, he was a 5-star recruit coming out of IMG. He was loaded. They probably, his receivers were probably mossing people. I bet his highlight reel is a bunch of guys breaking long touchdown pass, breaking tackles, long touchdown, mossing their opponents. What I found out was him hitting receivers in stride. They were great receivers. But I thought, he was going to be throwing from a clean pocket the whole time. No, he bought time. He moved around. He had great footwork. A up and out Dan not as close to Dan Marino, but up and out delivery, a quick release, as you want to call it, as most people will call it, up and out. Great footwork, great base. Just, when he's throwing the ball, he's the right mechanics. It just looks great. So that's what I saw. Every pass was throwing a guy in stride, hitting him in the chest when he's throwing on a quick header, giving these guys opportunities to make plays. What I didn't see was his players making him look good. I saw him making everybody else look good. And that's the difference. When I went to Sam Darnold and looked at his college tape, because he was taken so high and he has all these physical tools, and we're like, okay, Sam Darnold, we can work with him. I came away from looking at him saying, why was he even drafted in the first round? He was a turnover potential machine. His players were making. I'm just looking at highlight tapes of Sam Darnold, and his players were mossing people, his receivers. He was, give him credit. He was trying to make plays, and he gave his receivers chances to make those plays. But his highlight reels were other players making plays for him. One of his highlight reels was him underthrowing a dude so bad that he had to come back to the ball, and then if he hit him where he's supposed to, the guy could have made one guy miss and went to the house. But because of Sam Darnold's soft throw to him, he had to come back to it, and it got tackled right away. So these were highlight reels of Sam Darnold. That's why he is not in his indecisiveness, his lack of confidence, his 6.5 yards per attempt. You thought Dinkin Duncan and Kirk Cousins was captain checkdown. He's not. He's a whole yard higher than him and had a longer career. So, and then, Nick Mullins is 8.0. So Sam Darnold should look over his shoulder and should not even be starting week 1. He should be in open competition to fight for second, the backup role about Nick Mullins, and Nick Mullins would win. Nick Mullins would win the open competition, which I don't think they're allowing, just because of physical attributes. I don't get it. Nick Mullins, if an open competition against Sam Darnold, would beat him out hands down, guaranteed. That's me, guaranteed. The real star is JJ McCarthy. Let's go get him. We got him, but let's go put him in the situation. If everybody wanted to come play for the Vikings, JJ McCarthy said that. All his quarterbacks he talked to in the draft process said they wanted to go to Minnesota. Probably let out too big of a secret there, but I believe it. Now, here's some measurables. He ran a 4.6 40. It's 90 percentile quarterbacks. 21 years old. Here's his overall rating, 87.7 out of 100, according to draftbuzz.com. I'm looking for here we go. His spider chart, 40 yard, 90 percentile, shuttle, 74 percentile, 3-cone, 93 percentile. I tell people this 3-cone is a big number. That's a scrambling ability, because the rest of the stuff is arm 39. This is length. So he doesn't have long arms. His hand size are 22 percentile, not good. And his weight is 40 percentile, and his height is 33 percentile. So this is where he's got to make up for it. His 40 time, his shuttle, his 3-cone drill. This is where his scrambling ability. Now, he's not short. He's 6'2", he's 6'2" and a third or half or whatever. But his scouting report is just big. I'm not going to go into it because I'm just going to go off of what I saw. Great footwork, mobility, good decision maker, accurate with his throws. I just realized I wasn't sharing the screen. So let me quick here's a spider chart. Here's the spider chart. 40-yard, 90, shuttle 74 percentile, 3-cone 93, arm 39, hand 22, weight 40, 33 height. The reason why he looks like a kid is because compared to some other NFL quarterbacks, he does look like a kid. I made the joke that he's closer to puberty than a second NFL contract. But he also ran a 4.6 40. That 3-cone drill's amazing. I think it was 6.82 seconds. So a lot of good things there. Let me go back to me. Now, so great footwork, accurate passer, strong. He has a strong arm. I'm not a big fan of smaller hands for any position, especially quarterback and offensive lineman. So I really appreciate, and any defensive player for that matter, because tackling and arm length and stuff is, I think, important to bringing people down, because you can get around their body, beat the arms of the offensive player. It's just a better better ability. You're a longer player. That's what they're talking about: arm length, wingspan. I like that. Now with McCarthy, decision making and quick release make up for a lot of that. So now, not going to go much more. JJ McCarthy, I give an A. A lot of things about him. The difference between him and Sam Darnold is he did it for real. He did it for real. He made his teammates look good. Sam Darnold's teammates made him look good. And that's why he got drafted high. JJ McCarthy, very limited video on a lot of big-time throws, but he made those big-time throws. And his highlight reels is a bunch of guys mossing on jump balls, like Sam Darnold's was. It was him throwing guys, threading needles, leading guys in stride, throwing touchdowns, athletic ability, all of that combined. That's why you got JJ McCarthy, 10th overall. Let's go, let's go. Cue the music.
All you do is you prepare as thoroughly as you can. The guys play their asses off.
Playoffs? Talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. Another game.
Listen, we're talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We're talking about practice.
That you probably won't say it again.
I bet I do.
Okay.
Chris?
If you want to crown them, you crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them